This is my eyeshadow palette review for May. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today I have my May eyeshadow palette review for you guys, and I'm wearing one of the palettes on my eyes today. It was the last look I had to do before I could film this video. So I'm going to talk you through these eyeshadow palettes really soon, but before I do that, I do have to address why I was missing for about a week last week. That was very unexpected and not planned at all, but I wasn't feeling too well on the Sunday when I was supposed to film this video before, and I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little under the weather, I'm not feeling the greatest, I'll call the doctor tomorrow. And then the symptoms I was having were so serious that they wanted to rule out a heart attack, so I ended up in hospital and all that. So I had a very, very eventful week last week. Turns out it's probably an allergic reaction. The minute they gave me allergy meds, like really, really strong ones, it broke through the shortness of breath and all of the other symptoms that I was having. So I'm on those meds right now. I have to keep taking them because the minute I stop taking them, my symptoms come back. So the next step is to figure out what I'm actually allergic to. I've been through that mill before. I had a lot of allergy tests done about 15 years ago, so I know it's coming. But then you know why I was MIA for about a week. And if I start coughing through this video, it could still be me because my throat is still a little bit sore from the swelling that was going on in my throat. So, because that's what had started happening. Like my throat was swelling up as a response to, well, something. And that caused me to not be able to breathe very well. So that wasn't really a very fun time. I've had a really, really terrible week. So yeah, thanks for watching this video today. I hope you're still here. I hope you're still back. And we're still just going to chat about makeup content. So we've got 5 palettes here today. Let's chat. And the stack I have for you this month is pretty modest. I haven't been trying too many new things. I'm sort of trying to stick to what it is that I have new coming in. And I'm not currently really buying too much new makeup. I got a couple of bits while I was in London, but again, I'm trying to not overdo it because I have so many products that I love and I just want to get more use out of them. That's really my aim for 2026, and so far we're doing really well. These were sometimes sent to me in PR, some of it I bought myself, and some of it was sent to me as a gift. So it's a really mixed bag here of different things that I have for you. So let's chat. We're gonna start with the 2 Viseart palettes that were sent to me by Esther. She's always in my comments. No, she doesn't have a channel. People sometimes wonder, but we've been makeup friends through my channel for a while now. We've met up in person and we exchange makeup from time to time, and she always ends up with extras from like goodie bags and stuff and like mystery bags that she buys. And I didn't have the Midsommar yet, the bigger one. I did have this as an egg pan. And she also sent me the Sireneuse Nocturne, and I thought I was only getting this, so getting a bonus one is really, really lovely. The Midsommar is very similar to what I remember the 8-pen being. I did stick my nail in after taking pictures of it, so that's a bit of a shame. But this is the 12-pen version of something that they already had as an 8-pen. It still has that very beautiful, whimsical, fairy tale-esque, I believe the shade is called Fairy Tale, at least it was in the original palette. It's this very beautiful, like, pinky blue, lilac-y shifting shade. That's still in here. But what this has that the original Midsommar didn't have is some more cooler tone mattes. Because the Midsommar I decluttered because a lot of the mattes were more on the, like, warmer side. They were leaning a little bit more peachy pink rather than purpley things. And I feel like the purple shades that we get in here are the 4 new additions, which makes me really happy. This is the Viseart formula that I know I love. We all know Viseart is one of my favorite brands. I think when I do eyeshadow palette month in August, I'm gonna have to do like an overview of all the Viseart palettes I have, or maybe even had, because as I mentioned, I have decluttered the smaller version of this, and I have decluttered some other palettes by them that I used to own in the past. But ever since they've been doing these more like smaller, more manageable 12 pans, those are my favorite by them, and I have a whole range. So maybe I should do like a Viseart palette ranking at some point. Would you want to watch that? Let me know in a comment down below. And then the Sireneuse Nocturne, I actually like a little bit better than I do the Midsommar. I was surprised by this because I hadn't clocked this as something I was gonna like. And Esther kind of gifted it with a note saying, this is now my favorite Viseart palette, and I can totally see why she says that. The only thing you need to know is that these 3 shades look really green in the pan, but they're not that green once they go onto your lids, at least not for me. For me, this pulled more like an antique gold rather than like a cocky olivey leaning shimmer. So that is something to remember. But this is such a versatile little palette from Viseart for sure. I can see why Esther likes it. I can see why a lot of other people would like it. If you want neutrals with a bit of a twist, then I think this is one of the best things that Viseart has to offer. They don't do super hugely colorful things. I know there's now that Lisa Sesga collab palette. I'm not really getting the collab, but that seems to have some brighter pops of color, but I haven't seen Viseart really do many of those, save for the Violette Étendue, which is still one of my favorites by them. But these shimmers are beautiful. We get some really beautiful neutrally browns. There's almost like a hint of something plum to some of these shades, which I really appreciate. For instance, like this brown isn't just a straight up brown. There is this plumminess to it that I like. This matte is definitely going to read like a green for sure, but it's not like super green. It's more like a gray with a green undertone almost, at least on me. And then this one as well, like the lighter shimmer, it's not very mint heavy or anything. So it's not too in your face. And we all know that if I get a really nice minky gray tone brown, a really good taupe, then I'm going to love the palette anyways. This has a really nice blend of both mattes and shimmers. I think this is a really good palette. And then one that I almost forgot to review for you guys, but this is the Woeful Whimsy by Unearthly Cosmetics. I had to hang on to this for a little while because this didn't launch on Monolith until like the start of May. So like their last drop on April 26th. So this was sent to me in PR by Monolith. Else I wouldn't have tried this palette. I'm going to be very honest with you because this is a pastel, sort of grungy pastel leaning color story. It's kind of giving Creepy Cute vibes by Shroud Cosmetics, if anybody remembers that palette, but then with some added shimmers in. And the two of the shimmers, like these gray leaning shimmers in the palette, are my two favorite shades in the entire palette. Like even if I were to declutter this thing, I would gladly stick these two singles into a different part of my makeup collection and still keep those because they are beautiful. But once I started doing looks with this, I felt like I really got some really beautiful, really pretty spring, but with an edge kind of vibe sort of thing going on. So I ended up liking it a lot more in usage than I had anticipated at first glance. What I could have done without is, like, you're essentially getting three things that are a white. You get a matte white, you get a white with a pink shift, and you get a white with a blue shift. Did I need all three? Probably not. I'm not someone who's a huge fan of black, but as far as black eyeshadow go, this is one of the best ones I've ever tried. It's really opaque, really black, really saturated. So if you're looking for a really good, very punchy black shade, it has that in here. And then the colorful mattes in here are beautiful. I think the reason why I still like the looks that I actually got out of this is because it does have something that pulls a little bit more neutral that is beautiful in the crease to set up the look, and then using the colorful shades as accents, and it doesn't have to just be colorful. That's my preference. For instance, when I did the look with the pink, I think I sort of cut the palette in two halves, and I use this pink just as a bit of an accent in the inner corner, so you don't have to go all this colorful with a colorful palette like this. So I like that it's giving me options, and I ended up liking this a lot more than I had expected. And now that we're talking about Monolith, and I already mentioned that I'm affiliated, I'll pop my code up on the screen right here. What you should know is that this Sunday they will have their new launch on Monolith. So on that website, they will be launching loads of things by other indie brands again. That's going to be happening on the 31st of May. But they are also launching a new website. I will make sure to link to that in the description box down below because I don't want to get the URL wrong right here while saying it. But the same code that I have for Monolith is going to be active on this new website as well. The website is called Epic Beauty. Monolith, the people behind Monolith, are starting their own brand, and they are releasing a new palette. So that's going to be their first launch, which they sent me in advance. So I will be sharing some information on my community tab in the next couple of days as well. I did already show you some pictures of the palette itself, but I did already take swatches and stuff of it already, but they are on my other camera, so I need to transfer them to my phone So I can nicely put those as a post on my YouTube community tab. So I'll be teasing you over there, but just know that that's coming. My codes will be deactivated from the 28th onward. So when this video goes live, you still have a couple of days to shop, and they will go back online on the 3rd of June. So as these products are launching, my code will be inactive and you can't use it. But if you want to get 5% off and you're willing to wait until the 3rd of June, then you can, just so you know. These two palettes I paid for with my own money, but this brand is now also available on Monolith ever since I bought mine. So in the last drop, they got this. And this did drop on Monolith, but it wasn't offered to me in PR, so I did pay for it with my own money. Yes, if there's anything on the Monolith website that I missed out on for some reason, then I am putting my own money towards that website still. I will still be shopping there with my own money, but so far, very often they will give me a code and I can just pick out from the website what I like from that launch, and that's usually how I roll, so I don't always miss out on the things that I would want to get. So, but yeah, those were two palettes I still really wanted to get, so let me start with this one. If you don't know what this is by Titanium Foxes. This is the Crying by the Horses palette, and this is a brand that I've been meaning to try for a while. Some people in my comment section have been talking about them and saying like, what do you think about Titanium Foxes? And I didn't know, but they are a French indie brand, and they are a brand that does a couple of palettes every year, and I knew that I wanted to like wait for the palette that seemed right to me. So when they announced this, I was like, okay, that's going to be my first Titanium Foxes palette for sure, for sure, for sure. We get these green tones, we get these like cooler tones over on this side, and then we have warm tones at the top. Really lovely, especially the mattes. The shimmers in here, not my favorite. They are really flaky, and I'm not sure if you can see here, but do you see that little thing here on the mirror? Not sure if you can see. That came out of that eyeshadow. So it fell out after it being closed, and this was also my least favorite shadow in the entire palette to work with. It's very flaky. Some of these are very difficult to pick up with brushes, as we will talk about in the next palette as well. And because they are so flaky, they can be a little bit difficult to blend. Were the looks that I did with this palette absolutely stunning? Yes. But would I put my own money towards buying another one of their palettes anytime soon? I'm not entirely sure, really, because I do love the quality of it. It is beautiful, but it's really in these like special shimmers that your eye is very much drawn to when you look at the palette that makes me go like, I didn't love working with those shadows. They were very sort of slippery. Of course, you can apply them with fingers, but my main gripe with using fingers is that it's just not that precise. I don't have a lot of lid space, so I can't just whack on an eyeshadow and call it call it a day. It just doesn't work for me. I need to be able to use brushes to go in for the details and to be able to blend things and stuff. And if things don't blend very well, then that to me is always a sign of not great eyeshadow. Still, it's good quality. You can get some really stunning, impactful looks out of this for sure. There's nothing wrong with the pigmentation. A lot of people think that just because something is pigmented, it automatically means that it's good eyeshadow. It's blendability that tells you how good the eyeshadow is. It's why I like Viseart so much. It's always blendable. It always blends, and you can build it, and you can have time to play with it. With this, there's just no room for error. There just isn't. This isn't a beginner-friendly eyeshadow palette. Does it have some really beautiful shades in? Yes. I like the cool tones, of course. I like these. I even like the warm tones that were in here. I like the color story still, but here as well, like we get this creamy beige shade, and then we get one of those like white to pink shifting shades that was also in the Woeful Whimsy, so that's not that special. And I just wanted there to be like slightly different shimmers, I think. I definitely think these shimmers are the main thing that let me down, and this, especially this one, is just exploding all over the place. So in terms of these eyeshadows being very travel friendly, I don't think so. I also don't think these are going to stand the test of time. The formula is giving a very similar sort of feel as a formula I've played with in the past, and from that brand I haven't bought a single other palette, because after even under a year of use of me owning the palette, some of the shadows started to explode in the pan, and I'm starting to suspect that this might have the same sort of issue. So that's why I'm like, These palettes do retail for close to 60 euros, and I know that for around this price point, I can find other indie brands that give me color stories that I like just as much, that have great pigmentation, that I find easier to work with, and that are going to last me a long time, because I've had some of those palettes for years and they're still going strong. So for me, I am really glad I now got to try Titanium Foxes. I do really appreciate it. The package came super quickly to me. I ordered it from their French website. Shipping was around 8.95 euros, and it took about a week to get here. It was okay. So that is really not that big of a deal, I would say. But like I said, for this price point and the experience I had using these eyeshadows, again, I can pull some really stunning looks out of it, but I don't think these shadows are going to stand the test of time, going by how I've experienced other similar formulas in the past. And that brings me to the palette we've all been waiting for, the Silver and Cold by Dieverune Cosmetics. The minute this launched, we all knew that I was going to try this, because if a brand like Dieverune Cosmetics, I really, really enjoy some of their other palettes. The Magnetic Mineralia was my favorite palette of 2025 that they did last year, so I knew this would be a strong contender. However, this has a couple of those weird flaky shades in that I also didn't like in the Titanium Foxes. However, these are a little bit easier to work with. It was especially this blue shade that is all over my eyes today, because yes, this look was done featuring this eyeshadow palette. That was the main culprit. The other things I could still work with quite easily, but here is what the palette looks like. The color story, 10 out of 10. This is a excellent color story. It is a little bit more vibrant than I had expected though, and I think it has to do with the fact that I have pretty fair skin. On me, when things look more muted on medium or deeper skin tones, they can often pull a lot vibrant or more vibrant than it looks on other skin tones. I know that from experience, and because of the black background in the palette, I feel these shades look more muted in the pan than they do once they go onto your lids. That's just the way I feel, but essentially we're just getting a couple of trios. We have the grays, we have the purples, we have the blues, we have the greens, and then in this row, we get a gray and we get a like purpley shade, and this is a bluey green, so it goes with either one of those rows. Really, really pretty, but one of the things that really sort of irked me as I was using it is that some of these shades in the top row were just too vibrant for a crease shade. So I either had really deep things to put in the crease, or it was all shimmer, because we essentially have a cross of all shimmer, or it was like this minty green shade. Like this works pretty well in the crease. It's what's in the crease today. And this worked really well in the crease, but everything else just isn't really a crease shade, at least not on me. So for me, I felt that was lacking. I would always have to resort to a purple or that bluey gray shade, but then that blue-green shade, like this one here, it looked more aqua on me, and it was a lot more vibrant. It didn't have a lot of the gray in that I had expected it to have. The shimmers in here are all stunning, but like I said, quite a few of these, especially these two here in the middle, have that flaky formula that I'm not a fan of. If you're using it with a very detailed brush, you can sort of press the flakes like into place, and it kind of disperses while you're applying it to your skin. But with this blue shade, I was using it with a brush. I could barely get it to pick up. Once I started to try and like apply it to my lid with a brush, it didn't go very well. And when I went in with fingers, the shade was so creamy that it went all over the place initially. Like it was very difficult to control. And then once it was on, it stuck down and I couldn't blend it. So for me, those are all little nitpicky things. I can be very nitpicky. I have a lot of eyeshadow. I've tried a lot of eyeshadow in my days. I know that Dieverune Cosmetics can do better than this, because these formulas are not in a Magnetic Mineralia, or at least not as prevalent as these two are. Like I said, the blue one that I'm wearing on my lids today is the main culprit. It is really beautiful. It has this purple, blue, green sort of multi-chrome shift, so that is excellent. My favorite shimmers, this gray, it's actually on my lower lash line today. You can't really see it, but it's right there in the middle. And then these two I really enjoyed, and I quite like this. I'm not usually a huge fan of these very sort of aqua-y sort of shades, but that was really pretty. So it's got a little bit of a pinky green sort of shift as well. Really stunning, love those, but those two shades in the middle kind of let it down. It wasn't as terrible as the Titanium Foxes, None of these shades are falling out of the pen like that one does. That one was so slippery that I couldn't even like really apply it with a finger very well. With this, I feel I just wanted there, I think I had gotten my hopes up a little bit too much. So my expectations were here, like 12 out of 10. And it's a 9 out of 10 for me. So this is still a good eyeshadow palette. It's still a really, really good one. It's just that I was hoping this was going to be like a muted, colorful, gray-leaning eyeshadow palette that looked really nicely cool-toned, and also the name kind of suggests that. In the colorful shades, I don't really get the gray undertone as much, at least not on me. That could just be my skin tone, how these things look. Maybe if you have medium skin, this is going to look more muted down on you, but on me, I felt the looks turned out to be quite vibrant, which is not something I had expected playing with these shades and like swatching them and stuff. So that was a bit of a downside to me, but this is a good palette. I do really enjoy it, but it doesn't beat Magnetic Mineralia, in case you were wondering. It doesn't. It doesn't. And there we have the 5 eyeshadow palettes that I tried for you guys in May. I will be back with some new eyeshadow palettes to try in June. That new Epic Beauty eyeshadow palette is definitely going to make the rounds. If you want to know exactly what it is that I will be testing out, I do a Shop My Stash every single month, where I show you what is in my makeup drawer and that I've been using, what is it that I'm enjoying, what is it that I'm testing out, and I always show you what eyeshadow palettes I will be reviewing that month. So if you want a sneak peek of the palettes that are going to be featured next time, then you need to watch that other video. Thanks so much for being here today. Thumbs up this video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see more by me. I really hope you stay tuned for more, and then I hope to see you in my next one. Bye-bye!